Today's video features a paid partnership with BetterHelp. So I've never really kept it a secret that I'm not very academic naturally. I never have been. Before the age of 16, I basically coasted through my exams. I was a good student. I achieved all A's and A stars, but usually through basically obsessive memorization rather than learned curiosity. And by the age of 17, my technique for breezing through school fell short when subjects became far more challenging. And none of my teachers ever thought I would go to university. By the age of 18, I was working my first job in a supermarket. I failed to get into university because my grades were so low that I had no other options other than to resit literally every single one of my exams, both in AS and A level, within a year, or admit defeat. I'm so bored with my job in the supermarket, I decided to give it another go. And throughout that year, I sat a total of 8 exams, which seemed a lot at the time. And having done 8 exams in 1 year at university, it wasn't really that bad. However, I did manage to bump up my grades from, I think it was around CDE to A star BB, and I got into university. However, I continued to work various retail jobs throughout my undergraduate and my master's degree and beyond. So for nearly 10 years, I think it was 9.5 years definitely, I stacked shelves in supermarkets, I made coffees, I served pizzas, I sold books, I fixed watches, I sold jewellery, I hung clothes on hangers, really exciting. Putting the little bits on the hanger, very exciting job. I answered telephones for lawyers, I sold expensive whiskies over the phone, and I even worked for the church. Despite being a raging atheist, and I don't think they ever found out. Now, I say all of this because I recently received a message from a viewer named Liz, hi Liz, asking me to make a video about pursuing further study after not doing very well in previous degrees. So Liz says that they got a 2-2 in their undergraduate degree and they are now pursuing a doctorate in education, but they find it hard not to feel like an imposter. And I've spoken previously about imposter syndrome at university, but this question seemed to tap into something a bit more specific. Feeling like an imposter because your previous failures or shortfalls pale in comparison to the lifetime academic accomplishment of your peers. I mean, we live in a world where Oxford and Cambridge university students rule academic spheres of the interwebs, and A-star students with their flashy firsts dominate the algorithm. So if you were to look at like StudyTube, it tends to be Cambridge and Oxford people or very high-ranking Ivy League students are outperforming everything, which makes average or below average performing students feel incongruous. And I speak for myself there. As a first generation student, there was a lot of pressure on me to smash the glass ceiling for my family. My mother was unemployed, who had never dreamed of getting into A-levels, let alone going to university. My older cousin was technically the first in the family to ever go to university, and she did wonders. She sailed straight through to her PhD without a blip in her record, not a shudder in her academic achievements. And meanwhile I, the pathetic number 2 of the family, tumbled and slogged over a boggish environment for which I was evidently not intellectually built, and spent the past decade choking on the bile of my own intellectual destitution, to say the least. And yet, here I am, doing a PhD. It's impressive how far my stubborn persistence can override the natural order of things. But because of that, I do understand the feelings of inferiority. It's easy to get embarrassed when considering our academic shortfalls within cultures that reek of intellectual prowess. There are people in academia who were built for this environment. They excelled academically their entire lives, their knowledge is expansive, they consumed a wealth of books from early childhood as though they were drinking water in the middle of a Sahara, and no adult or peer in their life ever doubted their intelligence and ability to get far within academia. Then there are people like myself who drew obsessively and spent the vast majority of their free time acting in plays or playing Harvest Moon and Pokemon perhaps a bit too much, struggled to read due to undiagnosed dyslexia, and were bullied excessively and thus missed countless days of school, which impacted my record and my learning progress. And it must be really nice to be able to be someone who can share the details of about their lifelong intellectual rigour, their bookwormishness, their successful grades and award-winning papers or A-star streaks. But such a start in life is not necessary to enjoy a higher education. I don't slot naturally into the academic environment. It's not part of my lifelong personality, and no one would have ever thought I'd have the ability, let alone the desire, to pursue a doctorate. Hello, interjection with my Halloween mug, which is all year round because Halloween is all year round for me. See, I'm interjecting now because I'd like to take a quick moment to thank today's paid partnership, which is with BetterHelp. So I've been using BetterHelp for coming up to 3 years now. It'll be 3 years in March this year. I've been a loyal user of the service, and I've encouraged so many people in my life to use the service because BetterHelp's mission is to make therapy accessible. And, even asking for help in of itself is terrifying. But when you get the confidence to go out and actually find a therapist, you don't want to have to deal with the stress of waiting around or finding the right fit for you. And BetterHelp makes that so simple. BetterHelp is a platform that makes finding a therapist really easy. You don't have to search for hours through the internet or travel for hours to get support. It's entirely online and remote, and you can be matched with a credentialed therapist in less than a few days after filling out a simple questionnaire. Once you take out a questionnaire, they match you based with your needs and your type to a therapist that you would like. And it's just like, dating. Sometimes the therapist that you're given isn't a good match for you. They may not be able to specialize in your needs, but it's really easy to switch and find another therapist at no extra cost. I've had 2 therapists for 2 very different needs using BetterHelp, and it's just been easy to okay, I need to address this problem, switch therapists and vice versa. And my dogs are clearly having a time of their lives. Do they need a therapist? I doubt it, but anyway, let's carry on. So my first therapist really helped me with a lot of trauma and relationships with my family, whereas my current therapist is helping me with my anxiety and confidence. So whether you suffer from depression or anxiety or just you're really going through a hard time right now, therapy can give you the tools that you need to approach life from a very different way. And it's really easy to sign up and get matched with a therapist. There's a link in the description box down below. It's betterhelp.com/Cinzia. And then by clicking that link, it supports my channel, but you also get 10% off your first month of BetterHelp. So you can connect with a therapist and see if it helps you. And there are only 2 options for the academically average. We either wallow in our shameful past, berating our younger selves for not studying harder or reading more, for falling short and not having a natural curiosity for life, or not pushing ourselves more before those exams. Or we accept kind of our mediocrity and build up from there. I accept that I'm not an intellectual, I'm not skilled or incredibly well-read, academically talented, as the vast majority of my peers are, and whilst there are the odd pretentious know-it-alls that look down on those of us who are inferior to them, the vast majority, I'm talking over 98% of academics out there, don't treat me differently. They would never dream of treating someone differently who isn't as intelligent or academically as successful as them. And that's the majority. So the academics you want to associate with are those who see value in creativity, enthusiasm, kindness, collaboration, teamwork, peer support, encouragement, curiosity, and positivity. Qualities that cannot be evaluated by an exam or graded by some academic superior. So if you do ever encounter a bit of a tosspot who enjoys showcasing their intellectual, prowess by regurgitating facts or quotes from books ex situ, engaging in a monologue rather than a dialogue, or shoehorning in their academic accomplishments into a conversation, valuing their worth according to their childhood bookishness, or even their current Goodreads reading streak, don't be impressed or allow them to make you feel inferior. There's nothing to be scared of about academic inferiority, particularly if you've got into the place, so you're already in the position where you've been accepted into a doctorate program, even though your grades are lower than anyone else's. The vast 99% of people won't care. The only people who will look down on that are the people you don't want to impress, the people that you don't want to know, the people that you don't want to associate with. And yes, it will impact your funding abilities. Sometimes particular funding institutions will look at your grades and pick the highest achieving ones because that's how they're awarded. And that's natural. Like grants and bursaries tend to be academically awarded. But in terms of inferiority, feeling lesser than, and you meet all these peers who are publishing papers, who are speaking at conferences lots, or seem to be more intelligent than you, they are not looking at you like that. They are not looking down on you like that. Literally, almost 100% of people are not thinking that way. So there's nothing to be ashamed of. If you've been accepted into a program, you're already there. The institution and the people who have taken you on, your supervisor or whatnot, have deemed you intelligent enough and capable enough to do the thing that you are on. Whether that's a course, a master's, an undergraduate, a PhD, you've already been told that you are good enough to do this. Now you just have to do it and not let imposter syndrome and your feelings of inferiority or academic inferiority hold you back. and make you drop out or make you think I can't do this and doubt yourself. You've already been told you can do it. You just have to do it now. So yes, I failed a lot of exams in my life. And I didn't do as well academically as I would like to have done. I didn't go to a top-rated universities around the world. But I love the universities that I went to. I love my university is my favourite university of all time. I love that I went there because I would never have met my supervisor, who I adore. Like, everything worked out for me, even though I didn't get all the A stars and go to the fancy universities and have this beautiful university experience with all these gorgeous buildings around me. I don't have that. I'm just in my flat. And yes, I wasn't, I'm not as intelligent as literally over 90% of the people that I work with, but I find that so inspiring. Like, I don't feel intimidated by them. I feel inspired by them. And I feel so grateful that I have people like that at my fingertips. I have several friends who are so academically accomplished, and they are the first to help me. If I'm like, I'm struggling with this, I'm struggling with that, they would never, ever judge me at all. They want to help me. And how useful is that, to have these really intelligent people at my fingertips, willing to help me, eager to help me? That is what you need to aim for. Because no one is going to look down on you. If anything, people love the opportunity to help someone else. If they can, they will help you. So that is my advice to anyone who's feeling academically inferior within the education system. There are people who want to help you, and the tosspots who look down on you, no one likes them. Genuinely, no one likes them. The pretentious people, yeah, everyone stays away from them. You don't want those people to approve of you, and you don't want to associate with them. So leave those people in the dust. We've all met them, but they are very, very rare. And it doesn't matter what they think, because they'll do their thing. They'll be successful, fine. There's no camaraderie with them. Stick to the people who are good and kind and not judgmental, and you will do well. Do not let yourself be determined by your past grades. Just look to the future and be inspired by those who are doing better than us. But yes, I hope you found that video helpful, Liz, or anyone else watching this. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking and subscribing. And if you have any similar questions like Liz did, there is a Google form down below in the description box. You can send it me there. Thank you so much again for watching. Thank you to my Patreons, as always. And I'll see you soon for another video. And remember, books save lives, so keep reading.